right. So yeah, that video kind of sums up our week last week in just a short 3-minute video. I wanted it to be 30 minutes, but Luke wouldn't let me make it could have easily been 30-minute video. So we got it down to 3 something. But first of all, I want to just introduce our team. We have Mel, Savannah, Duke, Cadence, Callahan, Becky, Jen, Lauren's over there, Jamie, and Kim. Some people that aren't here, it looks like Leah's not here, and then Doug and Sue are still on the beach eating tacos as we speak. So they're still down there on vacation. But I wanted to say thank you to our team here, and then thank you to our sister church down there in Ensenada, the Vineyard church, especially to Jorge and Maria Luisa and Jorgito. They were our interpreters the entire time. They did a lot of background work before we even came. They went and vetted all of the places that we were doing ministry at. They did a lot of work while we were there and before we were there to make this missions trip happen. So wanted to thank them. And then I wanted to thank the church. So we were the ones that were able to go. We did the work. We were the hands and feet of Christ, but it takes a whole church. And it really was you guys back here praying for us. You're the heart and soul of our missions team. You supported us financially and just with prayers. And from the whole team, I just wanted to thank each and every one of you for that and making this mission trip possible. So we have some wonderful stories to tell and testimonies of our trip. First of all, I'd like to tell, I think they would agree with me that our trip kind of had some themes about it. It took a group of people, many of you may not know me. I'm Brad. I'm a nurse at Enlo, ICU nurse. I was a firefighter before I was a nurse. So there's a saying in that community of people called trauma bonding. So when you go through a traumatic event with somebody, you get really close with them, and it's this bond that you just can't really describe. On this trip, I learned a new lingo. It's called a blessing bonding. We came together as a group, and there really is a bond with these people here up on this stage that we were able to bless a lot of people. God blessed us, and through that, I feel like there's a bond that you can't really describe with this group of people. But, so stories. One of the themes was washing machines. Kind of sounds funny. So we go across the border, and me and Duke immediately, we're sitting, as you can tell, we were the only males in the van. So we were up front and kind of in our own little world. And we started noticing when you cross the border into Tijuana, something that God did with me on the trip was I had a thought of how everything was going to be, and then when I got there, it wasn't that way. I had a thought of something higher, I think, and then I got there and I was like, oh, this is a lot different than I had envisioned. So we go across the border. You go from a first world country immediately into a third world country. You would imagine Tijuana would be right next to America, so it would have money and there would be nice buildings and whatnot, but there's not. There's shacks, there's wooden shacks that people are living in. But one of the things that Duke and I immediately noticed, and quite frankly we were making fun of, was the fact that many, many businesses would sell washer and dryers right out in front on the street and just pile them up in, 6 high at points. They're just piled out in front of the business, and we're just like, that would never be that way in America, And at one point we passed by 7 different stores in 2 seconds. Literally, he was like, that was 2. He's like 1, 2, 3, 4 washers and dryers all over the place. We're like, man, they really like their washers and dryers. We're just kind of making light of the situation, So we get down there in Mexico, and the first day we go to an orphanage, and like I said, I thought we were going to an orphanage where the government put a building in a place where kids could go live. But no, this was a place where a woman opened her house to 8 children, and she lives in poverty, and she cares for these kids. They don't have any family whatsoever, and most recently, to my understanding, she just actually rescued 2 teenage girls from sex trafficking and whatnot. So she opens her house, and in addition to that, she lives in a community where it's migrant farm workers, and these kids of these farm workers are undocumented even in Mexico because they were born outside of the hospital, and it's expensive to get papers to become citizens. So the government knows they exist, but then they don't know they exist on paper. So they can't go to public school without papers. So this woman opens her doors up, because I thought they were on summer vacation, and we were there on their summer vacation little Bible study, but that wasn't the case. These kids go to school at this lady's house. So her name's Myrna. We go there, and we're doing our ministry thing, and she's really excited to show us that she's building on to her orphanage. So we go back to her add-on, and the government just recently passed legislation down there that basically all new structures have to be cinder block structures. This is what I've come across because of fire and safety issues. So it was a cinder block structure with no floor, barely a roof, smelled like mildewed clothes. And I look down and I see, if we can get the first picture up there. I'll let them put that up there. Anyways, we're back there talking for about 20 minutes, and I look around and I see all the children's clothes up on clotheslines, and I look down and I see this is how Myrna is doing laundry for 8 kids and possibly some other kids in the neighborhood, right? Okay, that kind of was my first real, I guess, gut punch of the whole mission trip of these people work hard, they have little, and they just really are giving people, but, they have some struggles, right? So we left there, and we were talking in the van of just about how much, we want to do something ministry-wise, and we were doing arts and crafts with the kids and stuff, and that was great, but it was like, oh, next time we come back, maybe we can get them a washer and dryer, that could be a goal for us next time. So a couple nights later, we're all in. We actually decided to go to Walmart to get the kids there at Myrna's some toys. They loved jump rope, and they were literally playing jump rope with a bale of hay twine. So if you know what that feels like, it doesn't really swing like a jump rope. It kind of flops around, but they were making do with it. So we were like, let's go get some jump ropes and hula hoops and little things, right? And so me and Duke were walking through Walmart, and in Walmart, they sell washers and dryers. And I look, and by this time, I had the conversion rate down in my head a little bit of what pesos to dollars is. And it was 7,000 pesos, and I'm like, that's like 350 to 400 bucks, right in that range, right? And I'm like, that's not too bad. And I look at Duke, and we're sitting there standing in front of this washer, and I'm like, we could buy this for Myrna, just the washer. She doesn't have to have a dryer. I know there's some logistics with the dryer and the electricity and whatnot, but she could have a washing machine. And he's like, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go. And our wives aren't even there, We're like, yeah, we're going to buy this washing machine. And so they walk up, and we're like, hey, we're going to buy this for Myrna. And they both look at us like, what are you talking about? And we're, no, we feel like we should buy this washing machine with Myrna. It's going to change her life for Myrna. And so we do, and we go up, we pay for it, and the guy says, hey, pull the van up to the front. And I'm like, all right, sweet. So I parallel park, and Becky comes out, and she's like, no, the guy says, pull it to the front door. So this next picture, I pulled the van into Walmart, Luckily, it was at night. Nobody was there. Nobody really cared. I was like, oh, okay, it must be just because it's kind of not after hours, but later at night. It was about 9 or 10 o'clock, I think. We were there. So we pull that up there. So then we had a problem. We were jam-packed ministry. They had a lot for us, and we were going. I think I was the driver. I think I drove 5 to 6 hours a day around where we were going. So unfortunately, they had to ride 6 hours a day with my driving, but we made it. So anyways, we were like, when are we going to go back to Myrna's and give her these toys and this washer and all this? And so we didn't know. So we had this washing machine in the back of the van overnight. The next day we went to church. And then the next day we had a homeless outreach at a camp, homeless camp. And the homeless thing for me, personally, you know, we all come from different backgrounds and different beliefs and different values and what shapes us. And unfortunately for me, I've always battled this pretty not the best thoughts about homelessness in the States. I had thoughts and preconceived ideas like these people can help themselves. Why are we helping them? Whatnot. So for this ministry in particular, I honestly wasn't that excited. So we went, and I kind of sat off on the side, and God was just the whole time, it was kind of a mind battle for me. I was like, I really shouldn't be acting like this, but I don't feel this was the last ministry opportunity that we had, and we were busy. I was tired, and I was just like, I'm not really feeling this. I'm going to let other people that really feel strongly about this take the reins and do the ministry stuff. I'll be here if somebody asks me for help. I'll help. So I'm sitting there and thinking about that basically the whole time. And then just looking around, and then my wife, I don't know if she'll tell the story, so I won't go into detail, but she ended up talking to somebody. We prayed for him. Next thing I know, Doug's like, hey, this guy wants to tell us his story. And he sits down. And this guy's story, I think he told us the weather of every day for the last year during the story. It was so slow, and actually so slow that some of our members got up and kind of wandered away while he was speaking. But the gist of his story was that he was in the United States, got deported, and spent his life in Tijuana and drugs and gambling and all the things. And he felt like one day that he wanted to get away from that, so he ended up hitchhiking. He wanted to get to Cabo. So that goes right through Ensenada. He ended up stopping in Ensenada about a year or so ago at this homeless camp. And for numerous reasons in his story, he tried to leave, but just kept up having to stay where he was. And one thing led to another. And if you understood kind of the logistics of this homeless camp, the Rotary owns the property. A local church gives money to keep it up. The Rotary gives nothing to it. And then the homeless run it. So this guy became the leader. He got the keys. It was a fenced-in area. And he kind of started a little ministry there where the guy before him wasn't sharing. It was his property, and he would let the people on as he pleased. When this guy took over, he started letting these guys stay there, use the showers, use the bathrooms. He got some things like a outdoor TV and he had a washer dryer. He had a microwave, stove. He had all these things that I think he got over time. Anyways, he's telling us this story, and he's like, you know what though? He's going through it, and he's like, man, the things just keep piling up around here, and there's no money. There's no money. The church ran out of money, and I have all this stuff that's broken, but the number one thing I need is a washing machine. Instantly, my heart went into my stomach. I started shaking, and I was like, I can't buy this guy a washing machine. I'm not going to. And God's like, yes, you are. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not going to do this. And I look over, and Savannah's like, and Jamie scoots over to me, and she's like, we have to give him the washing machine. And I look down, and I don't remember who else looked at me like, the washing machine's in the back of the van, And I'm like, gosh, I'm kind of like at a mind battle with God at the moment. We're not going to give this guy this washing machine. We can't give everybody a washing machine while we're down here. And so I'm sitting there, and Becky kind of walks by. Granted, me and Duke are the one that were like, we're going to buy this for Myrna, right? He's off hardcore ministering to this guy. and wasn't even there for the story. And I'm like, I'm going to give our washing machine away to somebody completely different, you know? So, but Savannah was there. I'm like, she'll explain it to Duke. And then Becky walks by. I'm like, hey, come here, sit down. I said, we're going to give this guy this washing machine. No, we're not. No, we're not. And I said, yeah, we are. And she said, yes, we are. So I said, hey, buddy, are you clean and sober? He said, yeah, ever since I stepped foot here, I haven't done any drugs or alcohol. And God's just been, has this ministry for me. And 3 days ago, I quit smoking. I said, I got something for you. So we start walking to the back of the van, and I open up the back of the van, and he sees this box in there with this washing machine. He immediately starts weeping, and then just the next picture there, just embraces me and holds me as tight as you would hold anyone, and just says, you have no idea what this means to me. We've been throwing away our clothes. This will change this whole place. So there me and this guy are carrying this washing machine. Later I hear Duke's like, what the heck? Why is our washing machine here? Anyways, so we set it down and it's all wrapped up. And I'm like, you got scissors? He's like, no, bro, this is Christmas. And he's like ripping the box off. And so the next picture, there we all are with him standing next to his brand new washing machine. And then we have the next one. This one doesn't have it, but right to the left is their old washer and dryer out there in the dirt. That's where they do it. That outhouse is actually their shower with a curtain there, and then the door next to it is a toilet. But he was just telling us how this changes life, and then he's like, bro, how did you know? Like, you don't just carry around washing machines. You got to tell me the story. So we told him who it was for. He's like, no, give it to the orphanage. I can't take it, And we're like, no, we'll get another one, So next picture. 10 minutes later, we're there. I know that there's people that are here that contributed to this, and they're not going to say it out, but I know that Jamie paid for this, and then some other people in our group contributed to the second washer. So me and Duke aren't taking the whole brunt of all this. So, but this was during the daytime, and it was packed, and everybody was like, "What are these white people doing?" We were all. I remember like opening up the door, and there's a group of people like, you're on the sidewalk, like trying to go around us. But anyways, that's where they told us to pull the van to. So we didn't just do that. And then me and Duke got to do the honors. Oh, so next picture, we went back. So that was one of my another worry is this washing machine was on like double clearance when we bought it. And they had one left. And I was like, they don't have another one. Like, what are we going to do? And we go back and Becky's like, we'll take this one, the floor model. Let's take that one. And so it's not in a box or anything, but it's brand new. Very last one there at the store. Yep. Mm-hmm. And then we all got to go over. It was super awesome. From this point over to Myrna's, the entire van, we were just singing worship songs, and you could just feel God's presence with us, like really blessing us, but blessing others, And so we get to Myrna's, and we go and pull her out. There's a video of it, but I'm just doing pictures. The next one. This is her when she sees her brand new washing machine, and then the final picture of her getting her washing machine. So that was one of the themes of our trip was wash machines. Something that we all take for granted. I got home and I had to do my laundry, and I was just like, I remember before the trip where I was like, I don't want to move my laundry from one to the other machine. I need that new one that does washing and drying, because that's a lot of work to. And then you go to a place like this where it takes probably multiple days to do laundry for 8 kids and an adult, and you realize that we take little things that we have for granted when people in our world are struggling, and we got to bless them and really make a difference for them. So I think Cadence has our next story testimony. Go for it.
Hi, my name is Cadence, and the orphanage was one of my favorite things because when we got there, we looked around the house, and it hurt my heart to see that I live in something that's way better than that. And it made me sad that those kids have to live in something like that. But we started our crafts and games, and we started playing Uno, and I had one kid come over. And I started teaching her how to play it. And then after all the crafts were done, a group of kids came running over to me and started playing Uno. And then after 15 minutes, 20 minutes, they could learn it by themselves, and they wanted to play it by themselves. It made me want to give them my Uno, but another thing was these two girls were playing baby dolls, and I was standing there playing bubbles with this little boy, and these two girls come and take my hand and bring me out to this field that they like to play soccer in, and they start spinning me around, and it made me feel really happy. And then they yell, "Tortas!" and they run, and they go eat their food. And that was one of the places I really love, and it made my heart fill with joy. And then I think this was the third day or something, but we went to the old folks' home, and and so we walk in, and they're in this room all laying on couches and sitting in chairs. And I didn't feel very I felt like that was going to be the one that I was I don't know. I feel because I didn't feel very connected there. But then after worship, we started talking to the people, and Kim comes up to me and Lauren and says, "You guys know sign language?" And we're "We know a little bit." And she's "The guy over there laying on the couch, he's deaf." And so I was no way I'm gonna talk. I'm too nervous, and I don't know a lot. But I felt like God was telling me, just because you don't know a lot doesn't mean you shouldn't try. So I went up to him, me and Lauren, and we started trying to talk to him, but not we said a lot, but I'm just glad I tried, and I can't wait to go back.
You want me to go now? Is it my turn? Okay, I'm not a people person, so it's really true. And this was actually my first missions trip. It was also my first time outside the United States. So it was kind of an interesting experience. I work with families in poverty, so some of what I saw I wasn't really surprised with. I was yep, that's what poverty looks like. But what really, really surprised me was the neighborhoods, because you'd have a really beautiful home right next to a shanty house. And so the from a systems view, it was just a very interesting mix of people who lived side by side. So, what my theme for the whole time was education, because I work in education, so I'm always interested in other educational systems and how they operate. But the orphanage really surprised me, because here in the United States, even if you are an immigrant and may not be here legally, you still have a right to free public education. And I have a very deep sense and justice of everybody deserves an education. So I was really surprised that Myrna teaches 20 to 30 kids on a pretty regular basis who are not allowed to go to the public schools because of their immigration status. And it makes me extremely sad. So that was one of the things that really touched my heart and kind of made my mind start thinking about things that I could do to support her from here in the United States. And then the other thing was, I don't like little kids. Sorry, guys. I like you. I like these guys. But I'm not a VBS teacher, so the VBS stuff was not my cup of tea. But when we were at, what is it, Solitude? Is that how you say it? Solitude, which is the church plant from La Viña. They had a group of teenagers there, and they were younger teenagers. And in Mexico, the legal age to stop going to school is like 9th grade, so about 14 years old. And so if you choose to go on to preparatoria, which is kind of like a voc ed, like a community college type education, where you actually learn a trade, is totally up to you whether you want to go or not. So by the time you're 14, you don't have to go to school anymore if you choose not to. So we had a couple of kids there that were going into preparatoria, and they were really excited because one, and I didn't really understand, like I understand what he was saying, but I couldn't quite figure out like what the trade was. Is una policía de niños, which is like a police of children. So immediately in my brain, I saw a cop arresting 5-year-olds. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not what he meant. So I'm thinking either a probation guard or working with Child Protective Services, those kinds of things. And then the girl wanted to go into rehabilitation. So it was really interesting because they'll actually go to school to learn those trades. And then if they want, they can go to university and get a degree in those areas. So they actually come out of preparatoria with the skills to work in their communities, which is really cool. And so it was fun getting to know them. They were all kind of teasing each other, and they thought they were too old and too cool to do VBS stuff. And I told them, no, you're not. And then I made them do it, which was fun. They were doing their swords. I sat with them and did it with them.
And at one point, I looked over, and they were all laughing and having a great time with Jen sitting there. So she was keeping them on track and entertained.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. The boys' home was a lot of fun. Juvenile hall was a lot of fun. It's another big difference between here and the States. Their juvenile hall goes all the way up to age 25. So the youngest that we met with was 15, all the way up to age 25, and they were all in there for murder. But it was an amazing experience because you could really see that the Holy Spirit was working on them, because a couple of them, when we left, they were crying because we shared our stories. So I'm really glad that I was able to go, because I almost wasn't able to go into the jail. But in general, I had a very eye-opening time. Savannah and I decided we were going to start a women's quilting circle. So you guys will hear more about that, because we're going to start making quilts for the children in the orphanage and so on. And that's about it. I had a really good time, a good group of people. If you haven't gone on a missions trip, and like I didn't, I would highly encourage you to do so. Your life's going to change.
Okay, I'm going to make this real quick because I know we're kind of running short on time. But Jen is correct. She's not a people person. But just saying. I am stoic, yes. But it was just so great to see everybody really coming together. And when we were all, doing our acts of service, I think that we all got something different out of everything. And I know that, you don't go to get filled yourself. Like you're not going to get something for myself. What can I get out of this, right? But you always do, because you really see just the joy. And one of the things that I took away is, one, I feel like it would be awesome to do something that is like sustainable for those communities. And also, like, the people there, they take care of each other because they don't have that government support. So they really take care of their own. And they have nothing but their joy and their faith. We're so spoiled, It's just what they put in their faith in God with having nothing. But I think the worst part of our trip, though, was the van, especially if you were in the last row, because there were no shocks at all. And Brad did not care about potholes. If you think Red Bluff streets are bad, this was terrible. And I think it initially got named Fancy Feline, and then it got changed to the Magda school bus. But we just were really also blessed to go. And I do think that if you do have the opportunity and you can plan, because the trip wasn't free, there is some cost to it. But if you can plan in advance, and if we know the dates ahead of time and you can plan in advance, or we could do fundraising and you just know kind of what to expect, I would encourage you to take part in that. And then you'll probably want to adopt somebody, the orphanage or the old folks home, or, even that homeless population is just, but again, the theme, their faith in God, their joy, like true joy, and they take care of each other. So take care of each other.
I just want to say thanks to everybody out there who supported our trip, and to all of you guys for a fun trip and for putting up with me, because I was kind of a whiner. My back was hurting the whole time. And I was in second class. I didn't get to ride in first class, but at least I wasn't in third class. But thanks, you guys. You were great. And thank you all for supporting us.
We're going to close in prayer in a second here, but we're planning on going January is the kind of the plans. So if you're interested in going to Mexico, Ensenada, we'll have more information in the next couple of weeks, I'm sure, too. But let's do this. If you might want to stand, we're going to pray real quick here. And I'm actually going to ask Becky, I'm going to put you on the spot. Would you close us in prayer and pray for Ensenada as well, too? All right, cool.
Do you mind if I tell my story really quick?
Yeah, 2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay.
Make it fast.
So just real quick, Doug had asked me and Duke and Brad and a few other members from the group if we wanted to talk at the homeless at all on Sunday at church. And, I was thinking, no, I don't really feel led. And I think Duke and Brad thought the same thing. And then we get there to the homeless, and Doug was just saying, hey, did you guys decide you wanted to say anything, maybe a story or something from the Bible that you want to say? And I instantly felt led to share the story of the woman who washed Jesus's feet with her hair and the perfume. And I don't know if you guys know the backstory of that, but that woman, that perfume was everything that she had, and it was really expensive. It's worth a year's wage. And so that the Bible story got interpreted into Spanish for them, and then I was able to talk after the story. And so what I said to them was, this woman, she gave Jesus everything that she had. Her hair, she washed his feet with her hair. And I think why God brought that story to me is because it was relatable to the population that we were speaking to. She was a prostitute, so I'm sure among the crowd of people that we were speaking to, maybe someone out there was a prostitute. So, and then I proceeded to just tell them that if Jesus was here with them, he would be sitting here eating this meal with them, that it doesn't matter that they're homeless or where they came from. And then I just said, we are here as a group, and we are Jesus's hands and feet, and we are sitting here serving you this meal, and that we love you and we care about you. And afterwards, one of the gentlemen came up to me, and he was crying, and he was just saying that how much the story really meant to him, and that, he was saying to God or whatever that day, just saying, I need you to show up. I need you to do something, some type of sign. And he said that the story was that sign that he needed, and that he contemplated, ending his life. And so God knows what we need, what people need, and he'll, lead you and teach you to show you what you need to do in that moment, even when you feel like, no, God, not me. I have nothing to say to that person. It's like, no, that's not true. So, just be willing and allow God to use you is, I guess, really essentially what I want to say about that. So thank you guys. And let me just lead us in a prayer. Jesus, we just thank you for this time today and all that you've given us, and for the baptisms, and that you just make yourself so real to us every day, and you lead and guide us. And we just, as a group, we just thank you for the time that we had in Mexico. And we just ask that if anybody wants to go next time, that you're just pulling on their heartstrings to lead them, to say, you might not feel qualified, but you are. It doesn't matter what you've done, where you've been, you can go no matter what and reach people. So we just thank you for that, and we just love you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.